Episode 2: The First Builders of Economic Power. How wealth created the first world systems. Before Rome, before Britain, before America. There were riverbanks, mud, grain, and a simple discovery: control food, and you control people. The first world powers did not rise with cannons. They rose with agriculture, and something even more powerful: organization. Why rivers created power. The earliest great civilizations formed around rivers: the Nile, the Tigris and Euphrates, the Indus, the Yellow River. Why? Because rivers created surplus, and surplus changes everything. When a society produces more food than it consumes, it can store wealth. It can support soldiers. It can build monuments. It can trade. Surplus is the beginning of power. Ancient Egypt. Control through stability. Along the Nile rose ancient Egypt. Egypt's true strength was not just the pyramids, it was predictability. The Nile flooded consistently, crops grew, grain was stored, the state organized distribution, and something revolutionary happened. The government became the manager of economic life. Taxes were collected in grain. Labor was organized centrally. Resources were redistributed. This was early economic planning. Egypt's monuments symbolized permanence, but its real power came from agricultural control and administrative organization. Mesopotamia, the birth of finance. In the fertile lands between the Tigris and Euphrates rose Mesopotamia. Here, something extraordinary developed: writing, not for poetry, not for storytelling, for accounting. Clay tablets recorded debts, loans, trade agreements, tax obligations. This is critical. The first financial systems were born not from coins, but from record keeping. Debt became measurable, trade became structured, contracts became enforceable. Economic power shifted from simple exchange to organized systems. This was the beginning of financial architecture. Trade networks and expansion. Once surplus existed, trade followed. Grain was exchanged for metals, textiles for tools, spices for livestock. Trade routes expanded influence without war. Economic interdependence grew. Cities became hubs. And gradually, power was no longer just local. It became regional, then continental. Control of trade routes became more important than control of farmland alone. This lesson will repeat in every empire that follows. The Persian model of scale. Centuries later, the Achaemenid Empire introduced something new: scale with efficiency. Rather than destroy local systems, they integrated them. They built roads, standardized taxation, allowed local governance under imperial oversight. This reduced rebellion, increased economic flow, expanded tax collection. Infrastructure became strategy. Roads are not just physical, they are economic arteries. This model of integration, rather than destruction, influenced future empires deeply. Why early powers fell. If these systems were so effective, why did they decline? Because early economic systems had limits: over-reliance on agriculture, environmental vulnerability, administrative corruption, military overextension. But here's what matters most. When one power declined, its systems were not erased. They were adopted, improved, expanded. The next empire did not start from zero. It inherited knowledge. This is the beginning of continuity, the hidden foundation. Let us pause and reflect. What have we learned? The first world powers were not built on ideology. They were built on resource control, record keeping, taxation, infrastructure, debt. These are not modern inventions. They are ancient tools. The difference between ancient and modern power is scale. Today we track digital transactions. Ancient Mesopotamia tracked clay tablets. The principle is identical. Measurement enables control. control enables power. Ancient wisdom, modern reality. The philosopher Aristotle wrote about the balance between wealth and virtue. He warned that extreme inequality destabilizes societies. Even in ancient times, thinkers understood economic imbalance creates political tension. This truth echoes across centuries, from Egypt to Rome, from Britain to America. Economic foundations determine political stability, connecting to today. Many viewers think world power began in modern Europe. It did not. Modern systems are refinements of ancient principles: central coordination, monetary measurement, infrastructure networks, structured taxation, debt obligations. When you understand ancient systems, modern systems become clearer. And when you understand the continuity of systems, you begin to see something deeper. Empires may fall, but economic architecture evolves, and evolves again. We began with rivers. We discovered surplus. We uncovered taxation. We witnessed the birth of finance. But something changes in the next chapter. In Episode 3, we enter an empire that perfected expansion through engineering, law, and currency manipulation. An empire that believed it was eternal, the Roman Empire. And in its rise and fall, we will see the blueprint of every modern superpower. Because history does not repeat mechanically, but it does echo structurally. And those echoes are getting louder.